Hi, hello people. Quick recap for those who are new or for those who have not been keeping up with my artistic trajectory. I used to make a lot of trauma art. I made paintings about emotional abuse, mental illness, eating disorders, sexual assault, racism, sexism, all the fun stuff. I felt like my suffering was the only source of creativity I could draw from. That shit is low-key self-exploitative. It took me a while to realize that reliving these moments of trauma, aestheticizing them, and then broadcasting them to the whole wide internet was kind of traumatizing in itself. I recently listened to an episode of this podcast called Doom Scroll, where this film and media studies scholar named Catherine Liu identifies a trend in people, quote, leveraging their personal stories of trauma as a mode of communication and authentication. She says, there's a kind of online massive social media convention that's about leveraging and instrumentalizing your suffering to accentuate your brand. When I heard that, I was like, Miss Ma'am, don't call me out like that. Anyway, I have since pivoted. I am now in my silly painting era. I'm making art that celebrates memories and people and places I love, and that feels viscerally joyful to create. With these pieces, I've been deliberately trying to not overthink and over-intellectualize like I used to do, and instead to just trust my intuition. It feels like a genuine act of self-care. On another podcast episode I listened to, from We Can Do Hard Things, I swear my mental repertoire is like 99% derived from podcasts. My idol and savior, the poet Ross Gay, defines joy as the feeling that we have when we actively practice being entangled with one another. He thinks of joy as evidence of our participation in connection. Connection with our neighbors, with the birds chirping outside our windows, with the trees growing by the sidewalk. So I would like to think that my art pays homage to this entanglement. In this video, I'm gonna show you guys the most recent paintings I've made and also tell you why a lot of people do not like them. But first, a word from our sponsor. The sunglasses are to indicate that FTC compliant sponsorship Jackie is speaking. You know what's right around the corner? The year of our Lord 2025. However, I do not believe in that new year, new me bullshit. I think that too often New Year's resolutions are shame-based promises to fix some shortcoming we see in ourselves. But what if you use the new year as a positive impetus to empower yourself? Such as by learning a new hobby or skill. Well, with today's sponsor, Craftsy, you can do just that. Craftsy is your online resource for all things creative. They have more than 2,000 classes taught by industry-leading experts across over 20 categories, including painting, drawing, photography, knitting, baking, cake decorating, and more. With easy-to-follow, step-by-step demonstrations, these classes are accessible to makers of all skill levels. I personally took their time-lapse photography class to brush up on my knowledge and make sure I'm correctly calculating frame rates and shooting intervals for when I make my painting time lapses for you all. You might be interested in learning how to paint an alla prima portrait, or 'tis the season to make some seasonal character cakes. Frosty Winter Friends Edition. So, if you want to join a community of creative-minded people looking to find inspiration and learn new skills, the first 1,000 of you to click the link down in the description will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. You know what costs more than a year of Craftsy membership? A cup of coffee, 2 Sharpies, a box of tissues, a cookie, probably. So what are you waiting for? Click that link. Thank you again to Craftsy for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into it. Okay, so here are my most recent paintings that I haven't yet shown you guys. First, we have Sandy in the ceramic studio. This is a painting of my friend Sandy in the process of glazing a little bowl they made. I am usually not the kind of person who leaves paintings unfinished because I commit, I follow through. But I started this one in June and then left it in this state for like 5 months because all the detail in the background freaked me out and I did not think I could do it. But it turned out that spending 5 hours painting a fan was actually quite enjoyable. Sandy makes ceramics, dances, and is a crochet god, all of which are activities I have no idea how to do and would probably suck at. But isn't it so cool to see the many ways that people can practice creativity and express themselves? Old me would have felt inadequate. but new me is just in awe of seeing people being good at shit. It's just cool. This moment is so special to me because there's something so intimate about being welcomed into another person's sacred space, being allowed to bear witness to their art making. Beyond the subject of this piece being a moment of joy, and beyond my own gratification in the physical act of making it, this piece also had me thinking about the joy embedded in the very process of its coming into existence. The painting took me more than 50 hours over the course of many weeks, and throughout this time, I had friends come to the studio to yap and keep me company, and I called and FaceTimed friends from home. This might be a little too woo-woo, but to me it feels like the gifts of their love helped to bring the painting into fruition. Like, the good vibes are baked in there. Next are my silly screenshot paintings. Why Is It Raining Right Now is a diptych of 2 wood panels that are 24 by 12 inches each. If I were to display them, they would be stacked on top of each other vertically to emulate scrolling in a text thread. The Hiker Hose is a group chat with 2 of my besties who I met during orientation at Stanford. The genesis of the name is that during freshman year, we went on hikes together every single weekend. Like, we were committed to the bit. Lately we've been lacking, but we'll bring it back, we'll bring it back. Simone goes, "Why is it raining right now? It was beautiful like 40 minutes ago." Boo! On this day, it was indeed beautiful, and then it started pouring out of nowhere. This occurred as I was biking to the dining hall, very much exposed to the sky, completely unprepared, no raincoat, no umbrella. So I sent a selfie to the girlies of me looking like a drowned rodent, and they responded with rain selfies of their own. Moral of the story, shitty weather can make you depressed sometimes, but friendship makes it better. I've had to repaint these emojis like 3 times because while painting the face, I kept forgetting that these were wet, and I just put my hand down and smeared them over and over again. You would think I would learn. Finally, we have Shotai. This is another diptych of the same dimensions. I go, "What's so important about the tongue?" My dad says, "It supposedly shows which parts of your body system may have some problems." Space, 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 period. They look at tongue coding, Shotai, and apparently he needs another angle, so he goes, "Can you also take one like this?" For those of you who do not know, I've had long COVID for almost 2 years now, which manifests in some funky fresh phenomena, including chronic fatigue, headaches, nausea, brain fog. Last year, my dad made me send him pictures of my tongue because he said he was gonna show them to Chinese medicine doctors who can allegedly use this visual information to extrapolate the ways in which your body is dysregulated. However, my dad never followed up, so I don't actually know if he ever even showed it to them. So that means I still do not know how my body is dysregulated. My parents got separated when I was 5 and divorced when I was 8, so my dad has not been very present for the majority of my life. I never really see him and we rarely talk, but I still do love him very much. These screenshots are so funny to me though, because I think they paint a very different picture. I think they paint a very different picture of the nature of our relationship and of his personality from what they are in reality. My father is a silly guy to the extent that he sometimes says really cringe, insensitive shit, and I'm like, "Dad, you cannot say that!" But he's not a silly guy as in goofy, but I feel like these screenshots do make him seem goofy, and that is why they bring me joy. So yeah, I really enjoyed making these paintings, but unfortunately, quite a few people have not enjoyed looking at them. I did a wardrobe change because I got too toasty. So it's my senior year at Stanford and I'm in the honors program for my art major. This entails making a bunch of paintings over the course of the year that will culminate in a written thesis and a final exhibition in the spring. As part of the program, we often have critiques with professors, MFA students, and visiting professional artists. Based on the feedback I've been getting, it seems that many of these people do not seem to vibe very much with my work. I think the dominant sentiment in response to my paintings is that I'm basically just replicating photographs and not doing anything truly creative, which is valid. I mean, this is the case. But I'm making a deliberate choice to accentuate the iPhone photo aesthetic with the aspect ratio, the composition, the way the subjects are framed. I feel like it's a specifically Gen Z visual language. Like, boomers do not be taking photos of their friends like that. The act of going back into my camera roll to search for these moments is like I'm curating from my own archive to find the glimmers of joy. And then turning them into paintings serves to memorialize the ephemeral. It takes a few seconds to snap a photo, but dozens of hours to make a painting. The translation and metabolizing of the fleeting snapshot into the long, drawn-out process of painting feels like stretching out the temporality of these transient moments, giving them a different space to exist. To me, the care embodied in the act of painting is an act of reverence and devotion. But it's true though, I am painting photographs and not really changing them all that much, and maybe that does say something about my lack of imagination and originality. Another critique I've received is that I'm not very discerning in which elements to fully render and which to leave more obscure. And because of that, the compositions end up looking very busy with no place to rest the eye. One grad student called my paintings grotesque. They're like, "Look at this. This is way too much detail. My brain cannot process all that." I mean, this is also a fair observation, but it's just fun for me. Something about using my itty bitty brushes to paint all those itty bitty details scratches an itch in my noggin. My OCPD, possibly also ADHD noggin. So I would just keep doing it. Because right now, I think I care more about my enjoyment of the process than the supposed aesthetic merit of the outcome. I don't want to seem like I'm defensive and can't take feedback. I think the shortcomings pointed out in my work are very real, and I am low-key insecure about them. But I'm also trying to not really care. And here's why. I think I fell out of love with making art years ago, and I didn't even realize how much I'd grown to hate it. I kept creating art out of a sense of obligation, because artist had become embedded in my identity, which meant that my worth as a person became tied to what and how much I produced. I was a painter, so I had to keep making paintings. I couldn't just not. But there was so much dread and anxiety and toxicity around the whole process. I had low-key given up and thought that art had become just labor and wasn't something that I could enjoy the way that I once did. So what did I do? Repress that shit and carry on. But now I'm finally having fun again. I'm actually excited about the things I'm painting. Whoa, crazy. Most days I look forward to spending time in the studio instead of having to force myself through discipline and then counting down the hours until I can leave. So the reason why I'm resistant to changing what I'm doing is because I finally found this happy groove and I don't want to fuck with it. This feels sustainable for me. The way I made art before very much did not. This isn't to say I'm stubbornly refusing to grow as an artist and will never change my practice. Life is long and inevitably I will change, but I want to change when I'm ready. This feeling of conviction is quite new for me. Character growth moment. Before, if I had gotten these critiques, I think I would have shrunk into a pit of self-loathing and insecurity and questioned whether I could even be an artist at all. But this conviction isn't coming from a place of thinking I'm great. In fact, it is quite the opposite. See, I know I am not doing anything particularly groundbreaking, and that's okay with me. I don't have to be a visionary artistic genius. I don't even have to be good, whatever that means. I just want to make art that I enjoy making. Because what's the point of making art if you hate it? In general, I'm getting a lot more comfortable with being less ambitious. I feel like we've taken the societal progress narrative of constant expansion and innovation and growth and individually internalized it. We have to be constantly optimizing our productivity, our achievements, our appearance, our creativity. But I say no more. All that pressure and stress is probably not good for your cardiovascular health. As a senior in college, I've been reflecting on how I've changed since freshman year. And I realized that I just no longer give a fuck in so many domains of my life where I once gave many fucks. I used to do my makeup every single day and felt ugly and exposed without it. Now I only do it on special occasions, which amounts to less than once per month. I used to read every single word of every single reading I was assigned, including the footnotes. Now, even though it's still tough for me, I can skim or even skip them. I took computer science and linear algebra classes just because I felt like I had to prove I could do it. And now I take silly drawing classes, classes where you go sit outside and meditate in nature. And for those of you who have been watching me on YouTube for a while, you may have noticed that my content has been getting a lot more chill. I used to spend ungodly amounts of effort scripting and filming and editing these elaborate video essays. But now I just don't have it in me anymore. Sorry about it. I no longer wear bras. I let my armpit hairs grow wild. I watch Netflix on weeknights. I read books just for entertainment instead of solely for intellectual growth or personal development. I am by no means enlightened and fully liberated from the capitalist hustle grind set culture or from caring what other people think. But I've definitely come a long way. I'm getting better at treating myself as a human with needs and limits, and less as a production machine.
We're human beings, not human doings.
In the book Rest is Resistance, Trisha Hersey writes, "You were not just born to center your entire existence on work and labor. You were born to heal, to grow, to be of service to yourself and community, to practice, to experiment, to create, to have space, to dream, and to connect." I stopped trying so hard and caring so much. And maybe you should too. Live your life for yourself. Do things that tickle your pickle and no one else's. Yeah, I think that's how I'm gonna end the video. Thank you so very much for watching, and I hope your pickle is tickled today.